In this video, I'm going to review the Trek Excalibur Ace. This is my favorite bike. It was my first mountain bike. This is the bike that got me into mountain biking. Back when Trek first released this bike, it was classified as an entry-level cross-country bike. So without further ado, I've had this bike for 5 years. Let's just get to the specs, the pros, the cons, and different things that I changed. The biggest thing that I love about this bike is the color. Do y'all see this? The color of this bike is baby blue, and in direct sunlight, it just looks stunning. It glows. I just want to give a shout out to Trek because they made the best color combination of baby blue and neon red. And you already know I had to get the neon red ESI grips to match it out. Since we're already here with the handlebars, I'm going to start with the first con, and that is the Shimano brakes that came on this bike. Like I said earlier, this was my first bike. As a beginner, these brakes did not give me a lot of confidence starting out. And the fact that these brakes were hydraulic was another L in my opinion because I went through all that bleeding just to get a brake that wasn't even that good. After the first couple of months, I upgraded my rear brake to an Origin Vise because they have a tension adjuster so I could do modulation or lock up my rear wheel. Now for something that is still stock on my bike that I really like are the shifters. And I'm gonna say this. The Sram X5 shifters are perfect. They have never broken on me, not even once. The only thing that really broke out of the drivetrain is the hanger that holds the derailleur with this little metal piece here. You see, I've had some hard crashes, but my derailleur has never broke or snapped or cracked. The drivetrain is great. Even though my bike is dirty in this video, I've always taken care of the drivetrain on this bike. I've always lubricated the chain. I've gone through 2 or 3 new chains every 2 or 3 months. It all depends on how much you use your bike. That's gonna really depend on the outcome of how everything works. And now to the forks. These forks are super flexible. Flexible in a good way because they have good suspension, but flexible in a bad way because if you turn too sharp, this wheel will turn and hit your fork. Maybe that's not a fork issue, maybe it's a rim issue, spokes, but I know this fork is super flexible. Now, I didn't know the fork was super flexible when I first started biking. I only figured out that it was super flexible and rubbing once I started pushing it and doing more than what it was supposed to be used for. And just like if you're driving a car that's not made to race, things will break, just like on bikes, ladies and gentlemen. And here's what happened to me. I started bottoming out the fork, building lots of residue in the oil, and this is just mad disgusting. I thought humans could only make dandruff, but I guess bikes can too. No matter how much that I clean this coil sprung fork, I wish that I maybe had a better quality or I don't know. As a cyclist, you always want the new tech, but you just deal with the tech that you have until the time comes where you need to upgrade. The next thing that I want to talk about is saddles. The stock saddle that came on this Trek Excalibur 8 was very comfortable, but after 1,000 miles, I got saddle sores. So I had to eventually upgrade it, and what I chose to pick was a Giant XTC Advanced 29.2 saddle. And changing my first seat, I had a lot of rattle bedaddle, you know what I'm saying? But as a beginner cyclist and beginner mechanic on bikes, we're always gonna have rattles, squeaks, and creaks, and that was just my learning process of the Trek Excalibur 8 because it's my first bike. What else more can I say? It was a really good bike, and it is a really good bike because I still use it to this day. Speaking of something else that I still use to this day is that seat post clamp. Taking this thing on and off is way easier instead of using an Allen wrench and just screwing it off. The only thing that I did not like is that imprint, so I had to use rubbing alcohol every single time I put the seat up and down just to remove that imprint. The next minor thing that I will say is good but not that good and kind of bad is maybe just the tires. But that's just all personal preference and where I was ever riding at. You know, right now I went through WTBs to Maxxis to Race Face and Specialized, then there also Trek Bont Ragers. Oh yeah, but I also had Continental Cross Kings, and that's what I have right now. And I'm pretty sure these tires are like 2.25. They are pretty good. Now, so far, that really concludes my review on the Trek Excalibur 8. Like every bike, you will break spokes, you will break chains, but I wanted to go over the basic components and tell you if they're reliable or not. And most of the time they are. The only thing that I really say that most people might feel undercut with is the fork and either the brakes. But it all depends on how you use this bike because it's an entry-level cross-country bike, not a downhill enduro trials bike. But hey, if you made it this far, I really appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next video. Sway Sierra out.